Thinking about the Paralympics, society tends to view it as a competitive, empowering event for athletes of all abilities to prove that disability is not a limiting factor for athletic success. But in reality, a huge segment of individuals cannot play the sports currently offered. What is the problem and how can it evolve for the better? The existing sports are designed for individuals who possess a high degree of upper body strength, usually people experiencing quadriplegic and paraplegic injuries, rather than individuals facing neuromuscular diseases, which are conditions like muscular dystrophy and multiple sclerosis that result in muscle weakness and fatigue on a progressive basis. A potential solution lies in the sport of power soccer. Power soccer allows athletes of all abilities, including neuromuscular conditions, to compete, where athletes utilize power chairs outfitted with metal bumpers to kick a 13-inch soccer ball around indoor basketball courts with occasional contact in competitive leagues, nationally as well as internationally. Despite being considered the fastest growing adaptive sport to date, developing a competitive presence, power soccer has been denied Paralympic recognition. Inclusion in the Paralympics can further power soccer's prevalence as well as recognition for accurately representing athletes with disabilities. The purpose of this study is to explore disability identity and empowerment through the lens of social identity theory to better understand the experiences of adaptive athletes who play Paralympic versus non-Paralympic recognized sports. SIT is best defined as a social psychological theory that attempts to explain intergroup conflict as a function of group-based self-definitions, particularly concentrating on the concepts of intergroup relations, outgroup discrimination, social psychology of groups, and group dynamics. However, SIT is often examined in the field of communication studies because it expands on an individual's sense of identity formulated through verbal and nonverbal communication to consider their overall treatment in society, especially with respect to marginalization. This study employed social identity theory to compare experiences of identity and empowerment among Paralympic and power soccer athletes to assess the mental perceived impact of exclusion versus inclusion through in-depth interviews. The research questions are as follows. How do adaptive sports members' identities reflect disability empowerment? And how does disability empowerment differ among those playing a Paralympic recognized sport versus a non-Paralympic recognized sport, such as power soccer? Data collection involves semi-structured virtual interviews with individuals from both spectrums and organized based on 7 themes: acceptance, heightened confidence, marginalization. Media visibility, disability awareness, prestigious motivation pride, and sporting credibility, whose details are visible in the slides. Findings from this study identified 2 main takeaways. Number 1, involvement in an adaptive sport supports an evolution of disability empowerment. And number 2, involvement in a Paralympic recognized sport contributes to greater public awareness of disability types and athletic strength through the exploration of perceived in-group and out-group dynamics and the impacts of those perceptions on disability identity and empowerment in the context of adaptive sports. This study promotes the need to enhance inclusivity in Paralympic competition. In this study, disability shifts from a medical model to a social issue of equality. Further, this work elevates the voices of individuals with a disability to unwear division not only in society writ large, but within the disability community.